After the first 4 races in New Zealand for the 1968 Tasman Cup, Chris Amon was in the lead with 27 points. Jim Clark and Piers Courage shared second with 15 points each, and Frank Gardner was not far behind with 10 points. For the first event in Australia at Surfers Paradise, we had the best lineup of overseas cars and drivers for several years in this annual event. The BRMs for Atwood and Rodriguez were technically exciting, with V12 engines, but had suffered from fuel supply troubles and had not done well in the series so far. Bartlett was entered in the 1964 Brabham chassis with the short-stroke Climax engine. Amon's Ferrari was making its first appearance in Australia, and this lightweight machine was fitted with a 36-valve V16 engine. Frank Gardner's Alpha engine Brabham was as fast as the opposition and had now been fitted with the second of our 2 engines. He had done well to finish second in the New Zealand Grand Prix, had blotted his copybook by going off the track at Levin, blew a head gasket at Wigan, but finished a useful third at Invercargill. Jim Clark had been joined by Graham Hill to make up a formidable team for Colin Chapman with their Cosworth V8 engine Team Lotus cars. Amon, in his Ferrari, had pole position, but sharing front row with him were the Team Lotus 49s of Clark and Hill. Tim Parnell, on the right of this group, is the son of the late Reg Parnell. He was over here to manage the BRM team. The start of the race had been delayed to allow Denny Hulme time to rebuild his car after a ding in an earlier pipe warmer, so the drivers had time to exchange reminiscences before getting on with the job. Jim Clark and Frank Gardner discuss race tactics. And now for the start. And away they go. Clark took the lead, followed by Courage, Amon and Hill. Courage's burst expired down the back of the course, and by the time they came round for the first time, Amon was just in front of Clark, only to lose it again to Clark under Dunlop Bridge. In the early stages of the race, Gardner was in 4th position. On the 12th lap, it was Clark and Amon, followed by a tail-ender. Courage now in 3rd place, Hill, Gagan and Gardner. Down in the pits, Alec waits anxiously for his drivers to appear. The second BRM has just retired. Amon comes in, having cooked his engine slipstreaming Clark. His race is run, and the car joins the 2 BRMs in the dead car park. It's time Frank was coming around. He's late. Here he is, and now we are in strife. What's the trouble, mate? Overheating? The Goodyear technician seems unperturbed by our misfortune and methodically checks the temperature of the tyres. Meanwhile, Glenn is desperately trying to get the cap off the hot water system, but it has expanded so much it won't budge. He tries several times, and in the meanwhile, Clark, Hill, Gagan and Courage continue to lap merrily on. However, we still had another driver in the race, and Kevin Bartlett was circulating meticulously, enjoying a private dice with Denny Hulme and holding a steady 5th place. We managed to get Frank going again and sent him out at least to finish in the race. Clark gets the flag to win the race, followed by Bartlett a lap behind in 5th position. Clark comes in, happy with his victory and 9 points nearer to the Tasman Cup. Hill was 2nd, Courage 3rd and Gagan 4th and 1st resident Australian. After Amon's retirement, it had been a runaway win for Clark, and the race had been kept alive by the next 3 drivers. It was a perfect day for racing at Warwick Farm the following weekend. The unusual sight of Denny Hulme's FBA on our transporter is easily explained. We shared transporter expenses with Denny in New Zealand and were happy to accommodate him over here. Someone had persuaded Alec to enter an Alfa Romeo Spider in a 5-lap dash for sports cars. Doug Chivers was entered to drive it. With 2 racing cars and a visitor crowding out the racing workshop, there was no time available for Glenn and the boys to breathe on the Spider. So they took one off the stock list, polished it up and drove it out to the farm for the race. In stock standard form, it was no real match for some of the highly tuned competition, but Doug Chivers brought it home in a respectable 6th place. At least somebody was now able to buy an expertly run-in Alfa Romeo Spider. Now we can get down to the real business. Despite its age, Kevin's car has led a sheltered life, and this was its first real season of racing. Frank's car had been fitted with the original engine first used at the farm the previous December.
First of all, Denny, congratulations on winning a World Championship. We were all very thrilled out here to hear about it, and we've watched your progress with great interest.
Thank you very much.
This race today, you've been here for, I think, 3 internationals now, haven't you?
Two, I think it is. This is my third.
Yes. Would you say that it's going to be about the fastest in this current season?
Fastest races here where we from all people have ever seen. The surface being resurfaced the way it is, and a better machine we have here this year. Obviously, we're going to have a much quicker race time.
Well, it's amazing, you know, people breaking 30 and being on the 4th row of the grid.
Yes, it's pretty amazing. When Frank was here at 29 something the other day, broke the new lap record. It was half the fields qualified under that this meeting.
And what about your own chances for today, Denny?
Well, I think the only chance we got of winning the race maybe is the others drop out through heat exhaustion. We don't have really the top speed that the good Ford cars have got here, but we have the reliability.
You're getting an amazing amount of poke out of this little engine of yours. About how much?
About 215 to 220 horsepower from 1600 cc, which is pretty impressive.
Kevin, something rather. Can we squeeze him in to go back? Oh, great, because I've told him, unless I find him to the contrary, I'm meeting him over there, you know. Immediately after. Yes, sure. Because I've got to write the story with him, obviously, after the thing, and otherwise, I didn't know quite how to coordinate, you know.
What I'd like you to do today is, if it's possible, I want the Alpha to win, but just follow my signals. I want you to run around about 31 and a half. Stick there for about 20, 30 laps. And see what position you got. You back up with that. Stay with it. Back up as possible. Right up. Tell them. All right. I want Frank. We want first place out of you, boys. If it's possible. How do you feel about that one? All right about it. Tell me how to do it. I'll tell you how to do it. Only try. That's all we want.
The Tasman cars ignored the usual preliminaries in the marshalling enclosure and came straight out for some warm-up laps. In practice, Clark had got pole with a 1 minute 27.4, and to share the front with him were Hill and Amon. In fact, no less than 9 drivers were under Frank Gardner's old record, only set last December. At this stage, Jim Clark was still behind Chris Amon on points, although he was not far behind and catching up fast. The incredibly swift Formula 2 cars of Denny, Hulme and Piers Courage were on 2nd row of the grid. Clear the decks, fellas. The 1 minute signal has gone. Stand by. Here they go. Wow, what a start. Clark leads, followed by Hill, Amon, Courage, Holm, Cusack, Gardner, Rodriguez, Bartlett, Brabham and the rest. By the time we got round to our favourite spot on the causeway, several laps had been completed. Clark is firmly in the lead, followed by Hill, Amon, Courage, Gardner, Hulme and Brabham. Gardner was in 5th slot, the meat in the sandwich between Courage and Hulme. The leaders keep up their low formation flying, but the pace has already taken its toll. Cusack had retired with fading brakes, and unbeknown to us, Gagan had retired at Creek Corner and had started the long walk back to the pits. Brabham, in his pretty pale blue car, had worked his way up the field after a poor start, but was already beginning to lose oil. Oh, here's Leo Gagan. What happened, Leo?
Yeah, what happened? What happened?
Had a spot of engine trouble. Well, of course, that's final trouble, you know.
Yeah, but you didn't spin off or anything like that.
By now, Brabham had got past Hulme and was chasing Gardner. In the meanwhile, Max Stewart and Johnny Harvey had both retired. Coming into the causeway, Constanzo is about to be lapped by Clark. Hill is expertly keeping the opposition away from his leading teammate. By the time we got back to the pits, Brabham had passed Gardner and was chasing Courage. In the meantime, Bartlett was still circulating rapidly, and our signals reminded him that he was the last remaining 2.5-litre Australian driver in the race. We had time to slip out to Ledger Corner to watch the drivers in action. Now the order is Clark, Hill, Amon, Courage, Ferguson a lap behind, another lap 1.5-litre, Constanzo and Gardner. Bartlett kicks up the dirt at Polo, whilst Gardner is busy lapping Ferguson. Brabham's back in the race, having stopped for more oil. Here's Bartlett again, about to be lapped by Clark. Gardner, hard at work. Brabham has dropped back to 10th place after his pit stop for oil. Back at the pits, we waited for the closing laps of the race. Oh dear, trouble for the Mildren team. Bartlett is out, having broken a half shaft at Polo Corner on his 34th lap.
Bad luck. Can you wheel it down just a little bit further?
That's it. At least we still had Frank in the race. We had. Frank retires on the 40th lap with a broken oil line, and that's put paid to the team's chances in the race. Down at the finishing line, Clark gets the flag to win the race and put him ahead of Amon on points at last. Hill came second, Courage third, and then Amon, Hulme, Rodriguez and Brabham. Clark comes in and the crowd went wild.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Joel. Thanks, Bill. Good on you, Jimmy. How was it? A good race?
Very good indeed.
How did it
ran beautifully.
No worries at all.
Well, not really. There's a lot of oil down near the beginning of the race, and we had to kind of concentrate pretty hard and keep it in shape.
Yeah, Jimmy, this is quite a critical race for you.
Yes, this I think brings us back almost into the lead of the championship. My arithmetic's correct, and I'm very happy that it's managed to keep such a good close race right through the series, and I think the next two races are going to be really exciting.
Yeah, these could possibly suit you a little more than, say, your main opposition at present, the Ferrari.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that. I must say I thought this would be the Ferrari's race, and I was very happy to win this one.
Oh, well, once again, congratulations, Jimmy Clark.
Thank you.
In the Australian Grand Prix the following week at Sandown, Clark beat Amon by a hair's breadth to win the race and the Tasman Cup. Our drivers did well, Frank finishing 4th and Kevin 8th, which made up for their disappointments at the farm. The final round at Longford was a wet one, courage one. Gardner came third between the two V12 VRMs, which finally came good, whilst Clark, Hill and Amon were happy with 4th, 5th and 6th in the torrential conditions. The result made no difference to the final score. Jim Clark had won the Tasman Cup for the 2nd year running.